Right fielder came charging in. His name was Harris. He was from Kings Mountain. And the second baseman's name was Buzz. He's in here. Anyway, they collided. Both of them were stunned. And here I am standing at first base, and the ball's in play. And we lost the championship because I just went blank. I was worried about them being hurt. And the pitcher, Johnny Smith, he was a competitor. He ended up getting the ball from right field. And I should have called the ball, and I should, even if they had collided, I should have been right there with them to get that ball back in. And that guy, I think the guy that hit it is a man on base. The guy ended up on third base, and the run scored, and that's really what beat us, was that one play where I just went to sleep.
Can't get them back.
And I think about that often.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Johnny Smith, he never said a word to me, but I knew and he knew that I didn't do my job on that play.
Paul Jones, also known as Cooter, a Brookford native, was a local star at Hickory High and Lenorine College long before he became king of baseball town in Reading, Pennsylvania.
It was Sunday morning. There was a knock on my front door, and when I opened it, there stood Colonel Holt, the area Cleveland Indian scout that I'd talked to on numerous occasions, contract in hand. He told me and my dad that he would give me $2,500 to sign, but my dad said he thought I should get more. He then raised it to $3,000 and said if I signed that day, I would be playing in Spartanburg, South Carolina later that week. Well, he was true to his words, because 3 days later I was playing shortstop for the Spartanburg Peaches of the Tri-State League. The manager was Merrill Pinky May, longtime skipper of the Cleveland organization. I remember my first game I was playing shortstop, and in the late innings, with the score tied and the bases loaded, infield in to cut the run off at the plate, the batter hit a shot directly at me. I made the cardinal sin of bringing up my glove, and the ball stayed down for an error, and 2 runs scored. Skipper May sort of excused the error the next day in the paper by saying it had taken a bad hop. However, the next night he moved me from shortstop to third base, where I played for the remainder of the season. I guess the most prominent player on the club was Rocky Colavito, who later played many years for the Indians and the Yankees. I recall I quite often followed him in the lineup, and every time he would hit a home run, and he hit quite a few, I knew he was going to get an up and in pitch and go down. Back then, you just took that for granted. I also recall that the opposing players used to stand and watch Rocky throw from right field during infield and outfield practice because he had the strongest arm in the league and would sometimes throw it on the fly all the way to third base, and occasionally it would fly over my head. One night during the rain delay, we were jawing with some members of the visiting team, and one of them bet Rocky that he couldn't throw the ball over the center field fence from home plate like he had heard. Rocky took the bet, a Coke. He promptly took one step from behind the plate and threw the ball right over the top of the flagpole that was just outside the center field fence, 385 feet from home plate. Paul Cooter Jones.
Danny Thompson realized his athletic potential after he left Brookford to join the military. He returned to become a star player at Lenorine College and then to a successful career as director of the Hickory City Recreational Department.
When I started playing baseball, they didn't have Little League or anything like that. You just got teams together. Dyke Little, who was 3 years older than me, he got a team up in Brookford, and we would go to Kenworth, Viewmont, and all those other teams on weekends. Their age group started at about 7 or 8 up through 13. We were all together. I was by far the youngest on the team. We would catch the bus or thumb or walk. When we played Green Park, we would walk over there and back. This was organized by different people in the neighborhood. Dyke Little was one of the players, but he organized our team for us. This is my first memory of actually playing organized ball. It was not a league or anything. We'd just get together and play. Brookford went through the 7th grade. After the 7th grade, I went to Green Park for 1 year. That's when I found out I was poor. All of us Brookford boys were the same. We thought everybody lived that way. So we got at Green Park, and there we got on jeans, and they got on peg pants. Danny Thompson.
With the absence of minor league ball in the 1950s and the 1960s, the local boys continued to play a high level of American Legion baseball, drawing large crowds to the Fairgrounds Stadium. One of Catawba County's biggest baseball stories came at the end of this era. From 1971 to 1973, the Indians of St. Stephen's High School did something that no other North Carolina high school baseball team had done. They won 3 consecutive state championships. The team was led by their young coach, a Mountain View native and former local athlete, Harry Fry.
I always felt that one of the things that had helped St. Stephen's during the years was the Little League started by the Optimist Club. We had a lot of interest in baseball with good JV coaches like Marty Curtis and Jeff Price. We had a good run winning the league from 1969 to 1975. St. Stephen's has had a rich history in baseball supported by the community. Pitching was not overwhelming. Stallings at the time could be overwhelming, but the others were just good pitchers. The 72 team was the best hitting team with a .326 team average. The 73 team averaged .282, where the 71 Indians hit a .316 and were good defensively. All of these teams had above average speed. We had good base running. We worked a lot on this. That's how you score runs. We were strong up the middle. Don Ball was our center fielder in 72-73 with a good arm. He could run. People always want to know my best high school team of all time. The only criteria I would use is that on the 72 team, every starter from that team made all conference either that year or the next. That year I could have put the names in a hat and drawn them out and batted them in any order. I don't think it would have mattered. They were all decent hitters with decent speed and a very good work ethic. We'd worked so hard on fundamentals. Our goal was every year to win the state championship. We reached our goal 3 years in a row. We were the first winning program in the St. Stephen's community, and I'm very proud of that. Harry Fry.
Running for mayor in the 1970s, George Murphy promised to bring minor league baseball back to Hickory. Nearly 20 years later, he was able to keep that promise. The Hickory Crawdads began play in the state-of-the-art L.P. Franz Stadium in 1993. 15 years later, set to play for their third parent organization, the Crawdads continued the summertime tradition started over 100 years ago. In the past 20 years, some local players have reached the highest level of the game. The probability that more names will be added to this list is great, as area high school teams are producing college players and major league draft picks at a record rate. As Catawba County moves farther into the 21st century, there will be no shortage of voices to add to this story, no shortage of bricks.